everybody! Today I'm with one of my best friends.
Thank you.
Peachberri. Are we using your Instagram handle?
Sure.
Okay, Peachberri. Yay. And today's video is going to be about side hustles in Japan. Because I feel like everywhere now, and for a fact my friends in England have the same thing, where like your main income doesn't really sustain you. Particularly like for us who have quite expensive tastes. I mean, basically all of my money goes on food, actually.
Even if you're not really buying anything, like, I think it really probably is the same no matter where you're living. Like, you're spending so much money on rent and food and traveling and just like everything. And the salaries in Japan are not so high unless you're doing like some kind of really like better work. If you're doing just like an office job, or if you're doing something that's not like, you're not an engineer, you're probably making a little, like an average salary isn't really that great. So if you want like a little bit extra, there's lots of things that you can do.
Yeah.
I think we've both been here for like a really long time, and I know I've been doing like side jobs pretty much since I got here 10 years ago, and I think you're probably about the same too.
Yeah, I've had so many side jobs. Mostly because I just wanted to see what kind of work there was, and like, because I've been an English teacher most of the time I've been working here, and it does get a little bit boring. And when I want a side hustle, I don't want to do the same thing as I'm doing with my main work. And I really like my main job actually, but it's nice. I don't know, I felt like if I was doing it full time I would get really bored. But I actually work semi-part time, and then I have a bunch of side jobs that I use the part-time. So yeah, I've been a teacher as my main job like almost the whole time I've been here, but it's been a little bit different for you. You have?
I've had a few different main jobs. I also did teaching for about 6 years, and then I was working at a hotel for about a year and a few months. Then I was working again as a teacher for like 2 years, and now recently I switched my job actually last month. And I started working, I'm working remotely now for an IT company, just doing kind of like, I don't know how to say it, like moderation. Yeah. So like checking information, just monitoring and moderation. Yeah. But that's my main job.
But that's amazing, because right now, I know, and particularly for foreigners, it seems like all the money is in tech. And when you're here, you'll find like most of us are doing kind of like English teaching, and then there's like manual labor, and of course like taking care of the elderly and stuff like that. And I feel like most foreigners tend to gravitate into those, and then the other half that make their real money all in tech. So I think you're definitely going in the right direction. It
was definitely a big change of pace from doing teaching, and also because the company is much bigger and they have like a lot of different areas in the company. I think it really depends where you're working, but compared to the places I worked before, it's very organized. Whereas if you're working...
Is it a foreign company?
It's actually a Japanese company.
That surprises me, because I've worked in a lot of Japanese companies, and I would say the bad thing for me about working in Japan is that companies are very disorganized, and like they're not very good at communicating with each other. Like the different departments don't really communicate, and that causes so many problems.
Today we want to talk about the other things.
Yeah, there's a lot of other things you can do, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, but I think it's good to like try, dip your feet in the waters and try out a bunch of different things you can do.
One of the things that I've been doing pretty much since I got here is I do a lot of, it's called like paid research studies, or paid research participants, I don't know, which is
like testing something and then doing a survey afterwards and just telling them how you liked it?
Pretty much that, and also like, for example, sometimes companies just need to take a lot of samples of something. For example, I've worked with some pretty famous skincare companies that they want to like look at different samples of skin in order to like, I guess, make their products better for everyone. So like one company I did a few different jobs for, they would like take like a camera and take like a really close-up picture of your skin, and do other things like with that.
How much money would you get for doing that one time?
Usually those kind of jobs, maybe 2 hours you'd get about 8,000 yen.
Oh, that's not bad, yeah. I would say like a good side job, normally you spend like about a day and you get something between 8,000 to 12,000 yen, like an average just normal side job, and that's like pretty good.
And if you do paid research participating, you'd get usually paid in cash that day. If not, maybe they would send it to you by bank transfer the next day.
Sorry, my son wanted to.
And yeah, usually if it's only an hour, maybe it's like 5,000 yen, but most of the jobs are like 2 hours-ish, maybe 3 hours, and you can get about 8,000 yen or so. I had one job where I had to go twice, like once a week later, and it only took maybe 20 minutes both times, but since I had to go back twice, they gave me like 12,000 yen.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I think 12,000 is a good. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. No. Yes. Yeah, I think that's a good amount. So let's see. Similar to that, I've done a bunch of jobs. Okay, I've done a bunch of jobs, and I think one similar to that is I've done a lot of like modeling and talent stuff. And I think when people hear the word modeling and talent, they always think of like runway stuff, or like you're doing like a super sexy photo shoot. But most of the stuff in Japan is not that glamorous. It's mostly just taking a picture of a product, or like your hand holding something, and then a lot of the talent stuff is ridiculous. It's like on Japanese TV and they make you wear a gorilla costume, and like, yeah, I got asked to wear a gorilla costume and throw a pie at a famous Japanese person. No, of course not. I get asked to do a lot of weird stuff in Japanese TV, and I used to do a lot of stuff, and you know, they'd ask you to be on a panel and you listen to a like a song, and then you just talk about it afterwards, stuff like that. If you're talking, obviously you need to know Japanese. There's a lot of stuff where they just want a foreigner to go on there, and a lot of like times they'll try to find a foreigner that looks like Marilyn Monroe or Kim Kardashian, and you don't have to look like it. They'll get someone with blonde or brown hair, and they'll just pay you to just like...
That's true. Going back to what I was talking about, and I think also with that, so the research studies, usually they'll ask for a certain kind of person. So maybe they'll say like, we're looking for people between the age of 20 and 50, we're looking for men, we're looking for, sometimes they'll specify like, we're looking for Caucasian men between this age and this age, or we're looking for like, they have a specific group of people they're looking for just based on the whatever they need research for, whether it's a product, whether it's something for like a study, like it's just because of what they're looking for. And I think for also modeling stuff, because I'm part of a few like agencies that send you emails.
They're looking for a really specific kind of person.
Okay. They'll send you like an email that's like, we're looking for someone who's this tall with this color hair, who has this kind of body type, and then if you're that person, I guess you send them their picture, and maybe they'll send it to their client and they'll tell you if they're interested in you. But those things too, like they're looking for like a specific type of person. So you won't always fit all of the things they're looking for, but it's good to be like on those agencies or...
Yeah, there's tons of agencies. A lot of people ask me how I do modeling in Japan, and when you arrive, you just Google modeling agencies in Tokyo, a bunch will come up. They're all about the same, honestly, and you just go to the office, and they'll take some pictures of you, they'll measure you, and they'll put you up on their website, and then they'll periodically email you with the job, and it'll say like, we're looking for someone this age, this height, and you just reply and say if you can do it, and then you might get an audition, and that's how the thing about modeling in Japan, because I know everyone wants to be a model in Japan because it sounds cool, only a very small amount of people can do it as their full-time job. Like I have friends that do it full-time, and they're very good at it, and they're also like very thin and very tall. Like I know that there's this idea that any foreign person can be a model in Japan. Well, that's somewhat true in the sense that you can do a lot of talent work. Actual modeling, like they actually do want you to look like a model, and so obviously if you do fit that model type, you'll be able to get a lot more work. I mean, it's just the industry standard. And like, you know, we have friends that do it, but they also like, it's not all like modeling. Like most of the work they do is like talent stuff. Like they go on TV, and you know they put the monkey suit on, or like they play a character or something like that. So it's a very, very varied, and the money is very varied. Like I've done most of the ones I've done. Honestly, you get like 10,000 yen for 4 or 5 hours of work, and sometimes you have to stay there the whole time when they're filming. But other times, like, I got like 150,000 yen for not really doing anything. I've got like quite a lot of money.
It's really like, because I've seen in the emails, like it could vary from, again, like 10,000 yen to
350, right? Depending on if it's like Panasonic or just like.
But obviously, those jobs are going to be a little bit harder to get. Like, you're not always going to get you're probably very rarely going to get a 350.
And like a lot of people are discouraged because you have to go to an audition, and you'll get there and there'll be like 30 people there and they all kind of look like you. And a lot of people are discouraged and they think like, oh, I'm too ugly, but they're looking for a specific kind of person, right?
And I think one thing with modeling that I've struggled a bit with is that since when you're here, you're probably working a full-time job, those kind of auditions require you to have a lot of open schedule. Because they'll be like they'll send you an email and they'll be like, the audition is going to be between this day and this day. We don't know when it is, but you have to open up all 3 of those.
Oh, yeah, it'll be like sometime the end of August.
Yeah. So if you don't have the ability to open your schedule, sometimes it might be hard to book modeling work just because they need you to be available.
That's why I honestly barely do any modeling work anymore, unless I get mailed on Instagram or like directly, because I used to go to a lot of auditions and I didn't get them, or I would get the job and then they'll call me the same day and said it was cancelled, and you don't get that money back. And sometimes I would take a day off work for it, or sometimes I would take a day off work, do the job, and I'm like, why am I, like, I'm getting paid the same amount as my full-time job. I might as well just be at work. It's good to make connections. It's really, really fun. And I just think I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, so I'm not good at scheduling and that kind of thing. You have to be really good at scheduling and like maximizing your time. Particularly, you have a lot of agencies. You have to make sure you don't double book, because if you double book, they can charge you. If you don't show up to a job, they'll charge you that money. The other thing I hate about modeling is you get that money 3 months later, as opposed to a normal job where you get it the next month. You get 3 months later, and I did some work for like a reputable agencies, and they didn't pay me, or they paid me less than they were supposed to. So you also have to keep track of that. And when I like to have a regular job, because then you know how much you're getting every time. So you have to be careful, because honestly they can be sneaky. I'm not saying they did it on purpose, but you have to check for like little mistakes.
So because I did this random research job with them, like they offered me like recently to do like a commercial for a game. And they also have like other like kind of TV work. That's cool. Like being in game commercials.
Right. Like, I've never got to be in a game commercial. The coolest things I did was I got to be in a bunch of like music videos. That was cool for like 2 of them. I really like the artist, so that was really cool. Okay, so let's move on from modeling. But I think to sum it up, I would suggest having a main job and then doing it as a side hustle because of scheduling and everything else. So like that's just my personal suggestion. I have friends that do it full time and they do it very, very well.
If you're someone who's done modeling already in your home country and you have experience, you know that you're going to be able to sell, then maybe you can do it with more confidence. But if you're just looking to do it on the side, maybe just do it occasionally. And if you start for some reason you get like so many jobs, you're really popular, maybe you can think about switching. Because
I know like the fun stuff, and I know when everyone's image of modeling in Japan is like they're modeling like really cute dresses.
No.
All the stuff I do for that, I've never gotten more than like 15,000 yen for the day, and then sometimes they just give you clothes and then that's it. So like if that's your end goal, I would recommend doing it as a side hustle.
One other thing I found was on Craigslist, and there's very good opportunities on Craigslist and very bad opportunities on Craigslist.
Oh my god, it's so funny because it's like my favorite, because there's recurring jobs, right? And it's like a recurring one is always they're looking for a church pianist.
Oh yeah, there was some for that church.
Always below that is like looking for amateur titty porn AV actresses, and you always see those two.
They're right next to
every week. It's so funny.
So if you go on Craigslist, Craigslist Japan, and you go to the gigs section, you can find like a whole list of different, like usually like short-term gigs. 98% of them are going to be weird.
Yeah,
like 98% are going to be the titty girl, the church peanut. I guess that's not really that weird.
It's weird. They're not going to pay you. There's a reason. If there's a reason it's recurring, like I would suggest watching it for weeks and seeing the common patterns that emerge.
You have to like really dig through it. So 98% are going to be trash, but you
Yeah.
can find a few good gigs through there.
Okay, so one of the things that really saved me was translating and proofreading games. And you'll find in Japan, you know, like visual novels where it just shows a story. It's not really I don't really consider these much of a game per se. It's just mostly just reading
It's
text.
like a choose
Yeah, you
your
can choose-
adventure story.
Yeah, they're really fun. You choose, you know,
What's
and
it called?
they're
Interactive
mostly
story.
an interactive story, and there's a lot of them are about dating, and the ones I translated are also quite like raunchy because if you
There's
find
a lot of them. There's so
and if you find ones like that, like they make an incredible amount of money in Japan. And I work with one company, and they give me work whenever their new game comes out, and their game's always huge. It's translating something text-based, so I think it took about a month, and I worked with a couple other people, and like you had to translate it, and then you have to proofread it a bunch of times, make sure there's no mistake, and test it and stuff like that. But I got like 500,000 yen, I think, which is really good for like a
that's
month's
a lot of
work.
money.
And I did it alongside my regular job, and honestly it was really tough because you do have a very strict deadline, and I couldn't a lot of nights I had to stay up until 4 a.m. doing it, and also like because you have a client, they send it back a lot of times and you have to fix things and stuff like that. So yeah, this is something I do that I think is really fun and I really enjoy, but it can be very stressful. And we actually did one together.
It was a while ago.
It was like a otome game, like
was
for girls.
There was one about they were like demons.
Okay, it was
They were like a band.
Some
They were a
of them
band
were
and they were
so
also.
badly translated.
There's one I remember. We used to do some. We were doing proofreading at the time. There's usually two types of work. If you can, if you're like somewhat fluent in Japanese, maybe you'll get translation work. Usually Japanese to English. There's also a lot of work doing proofreading. So it's already been translated, and then you kind of check it over to make sure if it makes sense. Because a lot of times the companies will use like a kind of cheap translation.
A machine translator,
translation.
yeah, just like Google Translate, and it's so bad.
Right, and then they'll send it to someone who's a native speaker
Yeah.
to fix it and make it make sense. So we
So
used to do.
we did that. It was so poorly translated, and like originally, the original Japanese was also poorly written. I'm really sorry. It was the one we translated. It was like you're a manager of like a band, and they're all like fox spirits, and then you find out that you yourself are like a reincarnated princess, and one of the members is like your lover from 1,000 years ago. It was it was so cliche.
That
It was
one-
like every bad fan fiction I've ever read.
I remember it was me, you, and I think we had like one other friend helping us.
Oh,
And
did a different character?
We each did different characters, so we each kind of saw a different story. So then we would talk about it later, like, oh, this story, this happened. And we'd be like, no way, this one was this, and
It was so bad.
those kind of games. They're very cheesy. They're very kind of unrealistic. But I mean, the people playing them aren't really going for realism. So.
And I don't remember it being a whole lot of money, that one.
Those weren't. I don't remember how much it was.
It wasn't a lot of money.
It wasn't that much money.
We
But
did it for the culture.
it was something like, I forget how much time they gave us. Maybe they gave us like a week to check it, and we just kind of did it.
It wasn't. They didn't give us much time, and it was not a lot of money. So I think it really depends on the client.
For example, the company I work for, they had a lot of jobs during the Olympics time, when the Olympics were happening. And then after that, it was really quiet. Like, I didn't hear anything from them for like 6 months. And then I got another little job, and they had a few, and then it's been quiet since then. So depending on what you're doing, maybe there might be like gaps in time when you don't have as
you're
much
so
work.
correct about doing work like this. Like, it's so up and down. So that's why I would really suggest having a main source of income that's consistent, even if it's not necessarily a great deal of money. Because like the side jobs I've been doing, like sometimes I'll get no work at all. Like the company I work for, helping to translate and proofread their games, the CEO, he pissed off to like some random country. I think it was like Kyrgyzstan. He just left because like he's got enough money, he doesn't need to, and he just went on a little vacation and decided that he liked it a lot, and he hasn't come back after a year, and so we've had no work since then. And imagine if that was like my main job, my main source of income.
Definitely, you want to have something, especially if you're living in a different country. You want to know that you have income coming in, unless you're like
Yeah.
completely freelance where all
Yeah,
of your work
yeah.
and you're confident in that. But if you're just doing it on the side, you want to have your main income, and then every so often you'll get these kind of opportunities that you can pull in like a little extra money. It's good to have a lot of those
Yeah.
available to you.
You raise a really good point as well, because like you've got, if you are, a lot of people are completely freelance, and it's you can do it in Japan, but it's hard, particularly because you need to get you need a company to sponsor your visa, and then you have to think about tax, because if you're a freelance you have to do your taxes by yourself, and doing taxes in any country is already complicated, but doing it in Japanese in the style of how they do it here is also very, very complicated. So that's also something to think about. Like if I work for a company, they'll probably do my taxes for me, but if I'm a freelancer, I probably have to do them by myself.
That might be good to bring up about money, because maybe some people are worried about jobs if they can do them as a foreigner. If you're doing a job that's only like a one-time thing where they're going to hand you an envelope of cash at the end, that's completely like, that's okay. You don't need to do anything with taxes. If they're handing you, if you're not an employee, it's like a one-time gig and they just hand you money at the end, then that doesn't need to be taxed. Like if you're contracted with a company and if you see taxes coming out of the money you're receiving, then you should add that into your regular taxes, because I think it's, if you don't make more than 200,000 yen from something, I think you don't need to actually pay tax.
There's a threshold.
Yeah, so if you didn't make more than that with this company and they already took out the taxes, when you file, I believe you'll get that money back. I'm not a tax accountant, so don't quote me.
Yeah, if you're gonna do side jobs and you start making a lot of money, the first thing you should be doing is looking up tax and how much you should be paying tax on, because a lot of it is you don't have to pay tax on it, but there is a threshold, and you need to figure that out, because you don't want to be like committing tax fraud in Japan. That's one thing you don't want to be doing.
If you're if you're just doing like a thing where you're going to go for one day, you're going to do like you're going to help with something and they're going to pay you with cash, that's fine because you're not an employee. But if you're like a contracted worker, even if it's only occasionally, and you see taxes coming out of your income, then you should think about that when you are filing your taxes.
There's tons of different visas, and they're all kind of limited, because I know like as a teacher you can't really do much else, so you have to go to the immigration office and you have to get a stamp that says you can do other jobs. Like if you want to join a modeling agency, you'll need to get that stamp to legally do that. However, a lot of jobs, even if you have that stamp, you're not allowed to do on certain visas. Like I know that I can't really do like night work, working in bars, and anything
you can
to do
get
with
the
alcohol.
stamp for a job that would also have a visa. So you can't get a stamp for a job that doesn't provide a visa.
Oh, that's interesting, because like a lot of, for example, I know that students can work in restaurants, but I wouldn't be able to work in a restaurant. Actually.
So students, if you're on a student visa, it's actually one of the more lenient ones, because they know that your main purpose of being in the country is to be a student. So you're probably only going to be working part-time, maybe in a restaurant, maybe, I don't know where.
They put a cap on the hours you can work.
Yes, you can work 28 hours.
Yeah, you also have to check that.
But when you come here as a student, you can go and get that stamp, and they don't really check where you're working, because probably you don't know where you're working at. But if you're here on a working visa, and again, I'm not a visa lawyer, so don't quote me if I have some small mistakes.
Don't sue her.
Don't sue me. You can get a stamp for a job that would also provide a visa. So if you're a teacher in a university and you want to do translation work, you should get the stamp for humanities, because that's also a visa. Translation work would give you a visa. If you're a humanities visa, there's actually a million different things you can do under the humanities field, because it's pretty much like anything that requires international knowledge. So usually if you have humanities visa, you probably don't need to get the stamp, but if you're going to do entertainment work like modeling, that's another visa, so you would need to get a stamp.
Yeah, that's very true. I actually learned something. Thank you. What are the more fun and interesting side jobs you've done?
One I did was I had to, and this is for actually a really big company. They were doing research for a really big company. Like probably everyone would know what this company is. I had to wear like a zentai suit, which is like the full body spandex costume, like from your head to your feet, like everything. I think
Were
maybe
you being fetish mined? Were they fetish mining you?
maybe. I think maybe your hands were open. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
So I had to wear this Zentai suit and go into this dark room where they had like a 3D camera, and they basically had you like stand like this and took pictures of you. What they wanted to do was get pictures of different body sizes.
I guess the funniest side jobs I do in Japan are like to do with social media. I obviously do a lot of influencer work, and normally a company will mail me. I get a lot of work from Chinese companies, but I find the ones in Japan are a little bit more annoying because they send you like a long block of text, like, hi, my name is blah blah blah, and like this is our company's history and blah 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 blah, and you have to mail them quite a few times before you figure out what you're actually doing, and then obviously you have to speak to them in Keigo. It's kind of annoying, but sometimes the more lucrative jobs are like night bras.
Oh yeah, you got like a few of them.
Yeah, and like you see all the Japanese influencers are always wearing these night bras. It's basically a bra that you wear at night to keep you comfortable, and I don't know why, but those companies always target influencers, and it's pretty good. You just post a picture of you wearing it and you get 18,000 yen.
You'll know that like pretty much anyone who's posting the picture wearing it
they got paid to do that.
To do it. And then usually those companies will specify like a time that you need to upload it. So you'll see.
Yeah, it's all at the same time as well. I had to post it at like a
you'll see
specific
like
20.
Time. If you follow a bunch of those kind of girls, you'll see like everyone posting the same picture at like the same day
it's
at the
funny.
same time. So like I mean I think. I know they look okay, but
yeah, it's not bad. You get a lot of stuff like that. Again, it's very varied. Sometimes they'll just offer to send you something for free and you don't get paid. Other times it's commission based, so it depends how many people buy the thing that you're advertising, and sometimes they just give you money.
Those types of jobs too, like even for me, I don't have a very big audience on social media, but even I've gotten some of those jobs before.
We have quite a few followers.
But like even like they'll send me like I've gotten like clothes, shoes. I've gotten other like a lot of offers similar to that. So even in Japan, even if you don't have like a huge audience, there's still a lot of opportunities.
Yes, I get a lot of clothes from online. I would say that probably like a third of my wardrobe is just stuff that was sent to me. It can be annoying because those companies can be quite aggressive and they want you to keep pumping out content, and you got to speak to them, and then you got to track the package and everything else. So it can be a little bit annoying just to get free stuff.
To like pick and choose, like you don't need to.
I'm a lot choosier now. Back in the day, it's like okay, and then something really weird would turn up, and I'd have to post a picture of it. But now I'm like very very choosy about it. I get a lot of color con, and a couple of companies I work with, I get a commission, and like even though I didn't post it for ages, I still get commission. People go back and find that picture and use my card, and I think every month I get like $100 just from that, and I'm not even doing anything. That's just like passive income as long as people use that card. So that's really really good. But yeah, mostly I get like just free stuff, or like we get to go to a cafe for free, so it's mostly just like free food and stuff like that. Talking about jobs that you rejected, I always reject when they ask me to
live streamers.
Oh, that's another thing. We'll talk about that in the next video. I always reject like diet pills, and oh my god, you have no idea how many companies have like offered me these jobs, and the worst part is it's so much money. I turned down 50,000 yen of one picture of me promoting diet pills and doing like a before and after, because they're dangerous, they're bad for you. I don't agree with dieting, so you'll never ever see me posting that stuff. But then I saw a famous influencer in Japan, and she posted them. I was like, she got the money. Like I'm like this close to giving up my morals, because that's a lot of money. But I think there are some things I just won't do, and that's one of them. Like posting.
Basically, if you see an influencer posting anything that's PR, that's they've been paid for, like you want to see what their opinion is. I don't know if they're always going to write their honest opinion, because they're being paid to promote that item. Yeah. So obviously they're not going to say this item is total shit.
I'm pretty honest. Like I got sent
You're really
something,
often honest about things.
Yeah, a company got really mad at me because they sent me a bunch of dresses, and I couldn't even like the zips didn't work in any of them. So like my titty was hanging out. Of course, I'm not going to promote something. Yeah. And I'm having a bit of a spat with a dress company that sent me a dress, and it came and it's like spandex. I don't know, it's so poor quality. I'm like, I cannot post this, and they're mad because they sent it to me, so I'm like, maybe I'll just send it back. So there's also wrapping up. The only other, I used to do a lot of like cosplay jobs, which were cool because you get to go to like the copycat or something, and a company would pay you. You wear their little costume and give out flyers, and then you get 10,000 yen for a day. That was really, really good. Apart from that job, the guy who gave me the job, he said, oh, we had like an after party, and he was like, oh, if you don't become my girlfriend, I won't let you do the job anymore. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. I never got to do that job anymore. And it's like, he's the ugliest man I've ever seen. Like, what, like for 10,000 yen? For like, absolutely not.
There's definitely a lot of people that will try to take advantage of
Very good point.
people's kindness or their willingness to do work. So any job that you're doing, make sure, whether it's going somewhere and doing like a survey, whether it's modeling, whether it's whatever, make sure you know exactly what you're going to do, who your point of contact is, what your terms are, how much money you're supposed to be getting. Make sure you're
and make
aware.
sure there's a contract, because I've done work before where they promised me they would pay me a certain amount, and then actually they didn't. So that's another big. So that was a very talkative video. It was very all over the place, but I hope that you got some information that is valuable to you. I actually learned some things from you, particularly about visas. You're very knowledgeable.
I did a lot of research at one point. But again, like, I'm not a visa lawyer, so please, if you don't.
That's a good point, though. If you have any questions,
come for you, don't say, "Oh, but this Nicole Peachberri told me," and then they come for me. But
but there are visa lawyers, and there are a lot of resources that you should contact if you have any questions, because everything I've done in Japan has been completely legal, and I'm sure it's the same for you, and I think that should be your priority, that you make sure what you're doing is legal, and there's a lot of resources for that. So so let me know if you have any questions. There's so many more side jobs we've both done, but I can't. I feel like this video is already going to be like 50 minutes long, so like this
is going back in like 10 years of random work that I've done, so like it would never end.
There is honestly so many, but like maybe we'll make another video like this if you want to see more. If you have any questions or anything else, let us know. Thank you for watching, and as always, please subscribe. Yay! Are we doing this? Oh no, wait, we're so out of sync.
Bye.
Bye.